Hey good people, Batavia here. We're going to take a look at what I'm growing for summer in the front yard garden. Okie doke, so the front yard garden is really coming into its own. Such a sight to see. As we dig in here, I want to extend a big thank you to those who like, watch, comment, share, and subscribe to Be Better Garden. I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed already, please do consider it. You'll see some holes, some empty spaces, and we're going to focus our efforts on what's going to grow for fall. So we'll share that in a separate video. Quick note here, a couple of varieties of kale and Brussels sprouts, which are really doing well. I am going to thank fellow gardener Bill for this suggestion. This is much more interesting looking and works out a bit better, I think, when it comes to trying to support the netting here. Summer things, okra, Clemson, which I've grown before, and then Star David is going to be the first time I've grown it. Starting to get some height, looking forward to that. I have some melons here. This is going to be cantaloupe, but at this point I just don't think that I have enough hot days left in the season. It just really got off to a slow start. Today is July the 31st, so we have, you know, a bunch of time left in summer, but I'd say for me about 6 weeks of really hot weather left. I have sweet potatoes in this grow bag, 20-gallon grow bag, and then I have some volunteer beans. I think this is going to be the yard-long bean, which you'll also see over here. So these volunteered. Check out my box carboli tomato. Super excited about this because my tomatoes in the backyard are really struggling this year. We'll talk in future videos down the way about kind of my plans to remedy that in future years. Here is the brown cherry. Remember I talked about maybe should I pull it? Not sure. Typically when I say that, I want to be diligent and pull things, but most times I leave them. And it's a good thing that I did because it's actually taken off. Here is a good example of a great bell pepper that I'm growing. We'll take a look at this bed and we'll talk about what's growing there. One lonely zucchini plant over here where we absolutely do have growth and some success stories. This is a round bed which is about 36 inches around, doing really well. One single plant here I've had to tie up a bit. I have more cucumbers than I probably should have let grow on this trellis. So we have muncher, which is actually sweet when harvested, more like this size, maybe a little bit larger. I let this one get much larger. I'll go in and do a clean sweep of the cucumbers. Here is a good example of the two types of cucumbers I'm growing here. So this on the right is a muncher, on the left is a home style pickling cucumber. So then we have another bell pepper that's putting on fruit. You can see the itty bitty peppers here, but you can also see it struggle to get to some light here just based on the crowding. I have corn in a 10-gallon grow bag, and we have some beans that have climbed over the trellis on that. You can see the corn's put on tassels. This is sweet corn. A tepee here looks great. Super pleased. The inside of the bed we have sweet potatoes, and then we also have a few different runner beans. So you can see the flowers, and thank you to one of my Chicago neighbors, garden friends, the Scarlet Emperor bean she gifted me. So I just love that there's a bit of color. I'm looking forward to saving some of those and enjoying the bean. And then I can see the flowers for the Kentucky Wonder Pole bean. So this tepee, really pleased with. Maybe a little bit crowded, a little bit heavy. I've actually put another type of support here to try to give it some more room to grow. Doing really well. Probably going to be something I'd repeat next year as far as a planting and vertical growing plan. Strawberries over here. Planted new plants this year, and then I have some things that I'm letting go to seed. A Cherokee purple tomato plant here, another example of a tomato plant that's doing really well. This is one that I grew up here last year. So the celery over here, I'll come back in and blanch that. These rows here. I have Spanish mammoth, white bell, which I doubled and tripled checked. So the color is correct. It's kind of a yellowish tint. Size, I was expecting something a bit larger, closer to this. This, we have 2 chocolate beauties. Again, sweet pepper, bell pepper. And then I have a yellow bell pepper. These were from saved seeds, so I'm really pleased with this. Same thing as that for a plant. And then I have, gosh, it's either California Wonder or, geez, I don't know. It's another bell pepper. So they're pretty slow, but they are starting to put on peppers. I start to get my ripened peppers like towards, for bell peppers, towards the end of August. And so you can see some will still be just growing going into September. So here is corn and sweet potatoes. So we did mostly purple Viking potatoes in this bed, which they're getting on, still got a ways to go. And then we have sweet corn, which is, they're not huge ears of corn, but they're producing, right? So we have a larger ear back there. So we're keeping an eye on that. Our containers mostly have chard in it, and then the peppers are uber small. So I don't expect much from these. But in this bed, I cleaned up, which is going to help some of the things that were being shaded out. I was saving the sweet peas seeds, and then this is the spinach plant that volunteered, and we finally cut that out. Another Cherokee purple tomato plant, and then we have Ford hook chard, peppermint chard, and then this is the other celery that I mentioned. So the celery would have been planted as the same time as the one in the bed behind me, and you can see the different size, but I know it's based on shading. And then everything that I tried to grow on the trellis, I think again was really shaded out by these plants, which got pretty sizable pretty soon, pretty early in the growing season. So mark that down in the lessons learned as I adjust and move things around in the garden. Okie doke, thanks for spending some time with me. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them below, and I shall see you all on the next one.